Once again, it's me and the moon tonight. Anybody that's plugging in to what I got to say, I highly thank you. Um, if you're seeing this on YouTube, please subscribe and hit the like button. And if something that I'm saying resonates with you, you agree with in your spirit, um, it means something to you, share it. Um, I'm out here tonight. Before I got off work today, I was so tired. I worked from 1 to 10. And around, and y'all might have to deal with my allergies, and I apologize for that. Um, but anyway, um, around 7 o'clock, I was so tired. I was getting so tired. I got some coffee, and that kind of pep me up for a little bit. Finished the rest of my shift, and when I got home, I was pretty tired. Got some coffee, and I was trying to think about what I wanted to do tonight. I started listening to some meditation music, watched a little bit of Michael Beckwith. Michael Beckwith is the truth. He's dope. Um, and then after that, I just sat quietly and kind of relaxed. I didn't know if I was even going to come out tonight. At one point I decided that I wasn't, but then something got put on me that I wanted to share. So this right here is for men. I want to say for men only, but people might just watch this anyway. And if you happen to be a beautiful woman, a beautiful queen, a god in the flesh, you're welcome to listen. um, as I've said before, you know, my heart will be shared here. I will give whatever I can to help individuals climb out of that hole where life got you down and you're tucked away in your misery, your pain, your suffering. Things in life haven't necessarily went your way. You've had some heartbreaks, you've had some horrible losses, you've had some terrible defeats, you've suffered some brutal KOs, and now you in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, and you trying to figure out what the hell just happened to you. So then a guy like me comes along who've experienced everything that I just described. And I was in every bit as bad a shape as you may be thinking you are in at this particular moment. I went through the days at a time in bed. I went through the crying so much that I thought that I was all cried out, only to have way more tears and way more pain to shed and be a victim of the complete chaos that had made its way into my mind, where I was on survival mode. I was in a terrible loop of negativity. I didn't want to be here no more. And the only thing that really kept me was the fact that I have two beautiful boys who just want their dad. That's all they want. They want me to be there and love on them and encourage them and teach them, and someone that they can confide in, someone who is in complete ride or die for them every second of every day since my very first one was born. And then 8 years after that, his brother was born. So it was because of them that I didn't want to have that picture in my mind of them. Well, it entered my mind of them looking down at a coffin with me in it, still looking young and vibrant, as if I could do everything that is in my power to make sure that they have a life that is driven by love, and they could learn that from me. However, I quit on them. So I when I started looking at that, well then that was giving me the courage to read for the ingredients on the pills before I took them all. And a funny thing happened when I read the bottle of pills. And you know, it ain't even that serious. It was a bottle of Motrin, and I was going to try to I had a lot in there. And I figured that if I took enough of those motherfuckers, not only would it be my last headache, but I wouldn't feel nothing after that. So what happened is I read the label. And the label said what would happen if you ingested too many of them. And the things that were described on the label made me say, if I don't die, I'm going to have to go through that. So I didn't do that. And I'm grateful for that. And the reason I'm so grateful for that is that I could be telling that story to you instead of it being buried with me somewhere where it would be no use for nobody. You know, Les Brown, he said this thing in one of his lectures. He said that the greatest artist, the greatest musicians, the greatest writers, the greatest philosophers, the greatest preachers, the greatest leaders are all in the cemetery. And the saddest part about that is the fact that they didn't recognize what they were before they went there. It was untapped gifts and talents that you look at all the beautiful talent we have on earth right now. Do you realize that there's somebody out there who is a better doctor than the greatest black doctor that ever had been living? Do you realize that there's somebody who died before they painted the greatest piece of art that the world has ever seen? Do you know that there's somebody right now who went to their grave with all the lyrics to the most amazing song that sound could ever produce? You know, there was somebody out there who easily was greater than Muhammad Ali. And before they tapped into that, for whatever happened, they weren't able to recognize and experience it. And they went to their grave without having that gift shared with the world. And sometimes when that type of thing happens, and I don't know for sure what happens when you die, but if your soul isn't easy by the time your life takes its last breath, I would imagine that there's going to be some discord with your spirit and your soul. The spirit is going to move on. The body, which is this earth thing that, everything that lives here has to eventually die. The only thing that sustains itself is pure energy, which that's what your soul is. It's pure energy. You want to think about what God is. It's pure power and energy. So the flesh is going to go, but your spirit is not going to be occupying that. So it has to still exist. And if this here earth is a learning ground, a place where we're supposed to learn and we're supposed to love, we're supposed to learn how to love, and then we're supposed to love. This is a learning ground for that. And if you don't complete what you've been sent here to complete, then 9 times out of 10, I would imagine that you would have to come and try this shit again. I could be wrong. Maybe you just live once and that's over. It's over with. That's fine. But what if it's not like that? So, and I didn't know if I was going to get into that right now. But I just think somebody needed to hear that. But what I really wanted to address with men is the fact that we are natural givers. And first of all, I want to say that because you are a natural giver, you have to recognize your sexual energy. And I don't necessarily mean the act of physical intimacy. I'm not talking about that. Well, I'm talking about that, but there's another level that I want to go to with this, is because, sexual energy is the strongest energy in the universe. Sexual energy is what creates life and inspiration and encouragement. And it's a feminine energy. And everybody has both masculine and feminine. Everybody does. I don't give a damn if you are the type of person who thinks that there's something wrong with individuals who live an alternative lifestyle. Men who love men, some people can look at that as being less of a man, which is ludicrous. Because that same person who would think that two men who love each other are less than men, that same person might be an incredible cook. That same person, that they might be an incredible writer. That same individual might be able to sing better than Johnny Gill. And you know what that energy is? That creative energy? That's feminine energy. Anytime you're using your creative part of your brain, that's feminine energy. That's a beautiful side that every man has. Even crunching numbers, that could be looked at as feminine energy. Creativity. This is why the woman is so important. And this is why the woman drives the man as she does, subconsciously and consciously. If you have a man who's a complete fuck up, you put a good woman in that man's life, he's not going to be a fuck up for very long. Even if he doesn't even do anything intimately with that particular woman, as long as that woman is giving him the energy of cultivating and encouraging and being a safe place and being a source of inspiration, that in itself will change a man to wanting to be the best he could be in life. See, my gift is I can do this. I can, this is, it's everything to me, but it's nothing to me because your gift is the thing that you do easiest. Everybody's got a gift. If you follow me, I've spoken of this. I've spoken of the fact that, Steve Harvey is the one that sparked the depth of what gift is that I was able to relate to and say, oh my God, my pen. Sometimes I write things and I don't even believe that I wrote them. And that's not an arrogant thing. That's somebody who's just, if it was just me, I would never be able to explain. And then being able to talk like this, the way that I am, and just being able to being in the receptive mode to have whatever the information downloaded into me and then to distribute it this way, in this form. Like I could be talking to 20 million people right now, or I could be talking to just myself, which is still important because I'm nothing but energy. And what's going to happen 50 years down the road when I'm finally going to go? This here would be able to be found then. Someone would be able to pull this up 50 years from now. And my energy will be here. So because, the woman has such an influence on the man in return can only give one thing physically to show his appreciation. And it costs nothing. And it's not just because two people are horny and they decided that they want to rip each other's clothes off and do stuff to each other. When a person has been injected with a woman's love, he understands that for him to give that back to her affirms to her and confirms to her that the uplifter and the God she is multiplies. She loves him. He shows that love back to her and gives that love back to her with his mind, with his spirit, with his body. That is what creates worlds. So in order to pay for this shit, a man got to go ahead and get in his gift. He's got to go get in his gift. You understand? He's got to go get in his gift to support. And then all of a sudden, she could inject him with another type of love. Now, this is love that is incredible, because when a man has a child with the woman that he's truly, truly in love with his, don't necessarily have to be a soulmate, but this is just the person that they've got that, oh my God, the chemistry is out of this world. And it's easy for them to relate to each other. Their spirits mesh when they get together. They like the same things. They like the same food. They like the same music. They like the same art. They like the same entertainment. They like the same sports. They may even like the same teams. But, it gets more sexier if they happen to like opposite teams, because that's a form of foreplay as well. But anyway, he starts to see this woman in a different light when she bears his child. Now, this ain't just his woman no more. This is somebody's mama. They've been able to build a legacy now that would outlive them, which means they will never die. Because once their child or children multiply, they still come from the same original seed. They come from the same original root. And it just continues to multiply. And that bloodline, as long as the bloodline is here, the first two people were here. So then that's when the man's love for the woman really increases. It's unexplainable. So it encourages the man to do just that much more to support. And he makes love to his woman even more passionately, and even on a much more deeper, intimate level. Because now not only is this his wife, now it's a mother and a life. It's proof to him that she's the life giver. She's the sustainer of life. And all he wants to do is make that thing happy. Maybe I should have said thing, but you know what I mean. Make that thing as far as like the entire relationship and connection between him and this woman. That's the thing. Not the woman is a thing, no. But that is the thing, the whole connection between the two. And how the love deepens. And on the flip side of that, if a man grows a type of attraction towards another woman, another type of woman that's different, and he's at that initial stage of that deep love, And he may not understand the real intention of the woman that he's given this love to. And she may be showing him one thing, but being another way, unbeknownst to him. And this particular energy from this particular woman over a period of time, when it's revealed to this man who she is, and now he feels trapped and he's hurt and he's heartbroken. But the thing about it is he's just this incredible giver, and he thinks that he can give her the love that he needs from her. He thinks he can generate that. And when that's proven to not work, he gets into a more of a heartbreak mode, and bitterness may be taken apart. And the fact that one time he was a loving, trusting individual, now he's not that. He used to be a optimistic individual, now he's pessimistic. He hates himself because he saw the signs and didn't stop it. All because he wanted to give of himself. I'm not talking about an evil dude. I'm not talking about a bullshit ass man that dog women and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just the regular good men out here who are trying to do the best that they can to help themselves and others. And sometimes they fall for the wrong woman. And it's a complete devastation to their entire being. Some men kill themselves over that. I thought about it. You know, I'm not telling you about just random shit that I've heard other people regurgitate. I'm talking about shit that I've lived through. So when you're on this type of you're on this type of level of just being able to express it, you know, I'm not just talking I'm talking to me before I'm talking to anybody else. It completely breaks a man's spirit. And because we're givers, it hurts that it hurts that much more. So I know I've been a victim of exactly what I'm describing. This is being under the influence of the woman that don't match you. And I'm not saying that it's a bad woman. She just don't match you. You're not a match. So first you just have to break it down to the common denominator, the most simplified. She just wasn't your match. She was on one frequency, you was on another. You guys on different vibrational points. She just wasn't a match. So when you break it down and it's simple like that, then you can say, okay, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take accountability and responsibility and any other damn illity that you need to take. You're going to do that. I wrote that shit first, just by the way. Google me. I'm in there. So when you start taking responsibility, it don't necessarily mean that you just dumping all the blame on yourself. When there are legitimate things that happen to you that were wrong, and it was because of somebody else's negative energy towards you, you ain't got to take responsibility for that. But you do have to take responsibility for getting to a place where you can just let it go, because all it's going to do is just weigh you down. So Damn, I'm almost at 30 minutes right now. I'm at 30 minutes right now. Ain't this a... Once you take responsibility and you learn from what you did, you learn from, you know, um, the mistakes. You can see where you could have made a better choice, but you didn't. Forgive yourself. And, you know, forgiving yourself, I'm not going to lie to you, it is the hardest thing that you'll have to do. But it ain't impossible. And in fact, it is rigged up for you to do it. It's hard to do. And what I mean by forgive yourself, I don't mean, you know, one day you get super emotional and you start thinking about everything, and then you just, at the end of all that emotion, then you say how much you forgive yourself and you're sorry and this, that, and you tell yourself you love yourself and all this other crazy shit. And then, you know, 2 weeks later when something trigger you, and then you begin to reflect and contemplate on another experience, you go right back into that self-hatred, not being patient with yourself, not being gentle with yourself. So then you're like back in that energy and frequency again. Forgiveness is a action that sometimes has to be done every day. I'm not saying you have to do it every day. I'm not saying that you're going to be in a space where you even feel you have to do it every day. But forgiveness sometimes, until you're healed to a point where your self-esteem is where it's supposed to be and your self-confidence is where you're supposed to be, you do have to, there are times where you have to be consistent with you forgiving you, because sometimes you could forget how far you've come on your journey, and you don't, for whatever reason, you might forget or take for granted that you had survived things that in actuality was supposed to kill you, but you still got over that shit. Sometimes you can forget about that part. I'm just saying, forgive yourself, even if you got to do it every day. So the simple, you wasn't a match. Then the class was to take responsibility and learn. And once you learn, practice forgiving yourself. Once you do that, then you're on the right track. And you can begin to heal correctly. So that's going to take some help. Let the universe guide you where you need to be. And be patient. In some cases, God will send people to you. But just be patient. Learn how to be still, be patient, and understand that once you are covering yourself in forgiveness and you've taken the time to be responsible and accountable for your actions, and you know, you're looking at this from a bird's eye view instead of being in the midst of it now. That's where you want to be. You're going to have some scrapes. You're going to have some bruises. You're going to have some bumps. You're going to be tired more than you've ever been tired in your life. But it don't tell you that you got to cross the finish line looking pretty. It don't tell you that you're going to get out unscathed. It ain't going to tell you that you might blow out both your Achilles. You know, it ain't going to tell you that you might be a lifetime in recovery for mental health issues. You know, it just said don't quit and get across the finish line. That's all it said. How you do it is completely irrelevant, especially when it's done in a righteous way. When you're not hurting nobody, when you are just taking all this and you're moving through it to better yourself, that's when the blessing is going to be at its biggest. That's how you got to get through this shit. So I hope this hit somebody where it was supposed to hit them. Like I said, please subscribe and like and share if this did something for you. And I'm glad I came out here. See how beautiful the moon is? Clear, perfect sky. And just last night, there was tornadoes coming through here. And I hope nobody was seriously, I don't know. I hadn't even looked at I just hope everybody was cool and everybody's comfortable tonight. But to all the great men out there, the folks that, you know, you're well on your way to crossing that finish line, regardless of the condition that you're currently thinking that you're in. And I'm going to tell you this like my uncle told me. You are better than you think you are. You are stronger than you think you are. You have more endurance than you think you have. You're smarter than you think you are. Be a receiver right now. This is the time for you to be a receiver instead of a giver. Because if you receive all that is meant for you to be, if you receive everything that's meant for you to have, then your cup is going to be filled. And then you're going to be in that giving mode again. And you know what's going to happen when you get in that giving mode after you've resurrected yourself, after you've put yourself back together again? You're going to get blessed to have a receiver again. And this time it's going to be the right receiver. This is going to be the receiver that you can not only create one or two children, those one or two children could populate a city over time. So be on your shit, my young men, my middle-aged men. For the ladies, if you listen to this, I really appreciate it. Thank you. If you got somebody that you are caring about and they might be in a bad place in their life or place in their life that they perceive as bad, they may have some heartbreak, and it's you that come across this video. Well, maybe you might not know it, you might not have ever thought about it, but maybe that individual that's over there that you care about and that's hurting right now, maybe you are their lifeline now. So it could just start by you giving them this video and just seeing if it marinates with them in some way. And then drop them seeds of encouragement and inspiration. You have so much more power than you think you have because you are God in the flesh. That's what the woman is. God. So, act like one. Peace and love, folks.